Peter's search next takes him to London, which has always been a center for Abominable Snowman study because of England's close association with India and the Himalayas. He has come to hear first-hand stories from a group of highly respected scientists and mountain experts, including John Hunt, now Lord Hunt, leader of the 1953 expedition, Dr. Michael Ward, physician to the original climb, and a world-leading mountain climber, Don Whillans. The round robin of their stories is fascinating.
First time I remember having seen the tracks of the 80 was before the war. And this, Mike, I think you would agree that at that time nobody was particularly interested commercially in the...
This is in the 30s?
In the 30s, in 1937, when I was on a very small expedition up the Zimu Glacier underneath the east face of Kanchenjunga. It was interesting because these tracks were heading for a very high and quite difficult to reach col called the Zimu La at about 19,500 feet. And there were two tracks side by side. When we got to the top of the col, the extraordinary thing was, it was a knife edge of ice. It was quite reasonable slope on one side, but it was a nice cliff on the other, that the tracks were visible below us on the steep side, on the south side, and the creatures, whatever they were, had crossed the col. So that was the first time I had evidence of that, and the supporting evidence was that only a year later, Bill Tillman was in that area, not knowing about the evidence I'd produced, or what I'd seen. He saw exactly the same thing, except that it was one single pair of tracks going on the same route, in the same direction, and crossing the col.
I spent 9 months in the Himalaya from September to through to June in the Everest region at 19,000 feet doing medical research. And during this period, we came across two lots of tracks. In the center of the tracks attributable to the Yeti, there were another series of footprints which are very much more obvious with my ice axe beside. My ice axe is approximately 12 to 14 inches long, and you can see the footprints are very clearly etched in the snow. We followed these for about 100 yards down the glacier, but we could see them continuing on into the distance.
Lord Hunt will always remember another incident.
In 1953, while we were training before we went to the foot of Everest to climb the mountain, and this was a training camp at about 17,000 feet, heard a wailing cry across the glacier at half a mile away. In fact, a series of sort of yelping calls, long drawn out. Wondered what on earth they were. It was a long, wailing, long drawn out call, and it was repeated. Possibly something like a peacock.
From all of his research, both in the Himalayas and the Pacific Northwest, Peter has gained a clear picture of the snowman, a composite of its appearance and habits.
Imprints left on the ground give me a view of its stride, its enormous loping gait. The stride averages from 40 to 50 inches. From the depth of the footprints, I know it's a heavy creature, more than 300 pounds, and it's extremely agile, jumping mountain crevasses with ease.
For all its great physical strength, it appears to be shy and docile, eating small rodents, roots, and berries. But there is no record that it has ever harmed a single man. In Search Of will next go with Peter Byrne to Nepal, where he hopes to find absolute proof that the snowman exists. The people who live in the villages of the Himalaya mountains are called Sherpa. Despite their shy, mild-mannered ways, these people are capable of rugged climbs with incredibly heavy pack loads. They form the backbone of any expedition, including the successful assault on Everest in 1953. The Sherpa are not the doubters and skeptics that Western men are. Sherpa legends accept the fact that a huge, hairy creature lives among them. They call him the Yeti. To us, he is the Abominable Snowman. The melting snows of the Himalayas turn the rivers of Nepal into raging torrents. Peter Byrne often takes advantage of their swift transportation in his search for the snowman.
The quest has drawn me to perilous but exhilarating places, running the great rivers of the Nepal Himalaya, probably the most dangerous rivers in the world. I had been waiting for 2 weeks for a most important message, permission for an interview with the Holy Lama of Bodhnath. As the messenger made his way to reach us in this incredible world of isolated and rugged beauty, I thought how lucky I was. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the Yeti, or Abominable Snowman, call it what you may, it has given me times of sheer frustration, but there are also moments of hope.
Right. Got a hold of that, Bill?
The old Lama, Rinpoche Chini Lama, high priest of the Buddhist temple at Bodhnath, has granted me an audience.
Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal, is one of the few cities of the ancient world unspoiled by tourists. Off regular plane routes, it looks as if it has been frozen in time. But under its calm exterior, a world of intrigue flourishes. Sharing its high mountain borders with Red China, it is one of the very few windows to that world. Agents and spies from many countries jostle each other in the marketplace, with more spies here than in most other cities in the world. Peter Byrne is not concerned with the present. Rather, he has come to Kathmandu seeking a dramatic link with man's distant past.
I was looking for eyewitness accounts of Yeti sightings. I hoped the Rinpoche could help. The Holy Lama, I was told, knew of the Yeti at first hand and could provide new clues for me to follow in my search.
Oh, yeah.
And as you know, I have been looking for the Yeti.
But could not get now.
Could not find. You think there might still be a Yeti there?
Maybe, possibly, yeah. Can stay. Sometimes they come down to destroy all the field of corn field and wheat field, potatoes field.
They come down to destroy
They come down and destroy.
And frighten the villagers?
Yeah.
This piece of bone that you showed me, this is a Yeti, a piece of Yeti bone. How old would you say this was?
About 50 years back.
50 years back, I see. It's very thick and it has a peculiar ridge on the top here. I must admit, I've never seen anything like this before. And where did it come from? Which place?
This is come from Zarumpu.
Following the lead of the Lama, Peter moves up into the Himalayas. His guides will be the loyal Sherpa. At these heights, the weather can close in for days and the temperature drop to sub-zero degrees. One feels cut off in an isolated world of beauty and danger, where time is meaningless, where it is easy to believe the incredible tales the Sherpa calmly tell.
On my last Yeti expedition to Nepal, I had seen several sets of tracks and heard incredible stories of sightings. This year, I had set out with my Sherpa guides to investigate those stories and relive some of the experiences in the exact location where they said they had heard a Yeti.
Peter's guides have not seen a Yeti themselves, but they feel they have been close to the creature many times. As he listens to their stories, Peter will have to differentiate between legend and fact, to divine the line between imagination and reality.
The oldest Sherpa told an eerie tale. It was a winter afternoon, he said. 2 of us were returning from the Tibetan border. And on the last stage of our journey, a storm forced us to camp in a deserted cave. We made our way deep inside where it would be warmer. And we heard what we thought was someone calling out and coming in our direction.
Yeah.